Listen, all this week on Red River Week, we're talking about drugs, cigarettes, smoking, alcohol, and why they're bad for you. That's what's been happening all this week because it was Red Ribbon Week. And not many parents talking to their kids, tweens, and teens on how to do this. I mean, how to say no. Because the biggest thing ever is that if your teen or kid starts smoking or drinking, they're gonna think lung cancer is cool, emphysema is cool, death is cool. Hey, it's not cool. Let me tell you something. I gotta be honest here. It's like this. Smoking's bad. And many people are smart. They look at the Surgeon General's warning: cancer, heart disease, emphysema. They think it's the ingredients. And there's plenty of parents who went through hell trying to quit. And there's other drugs like cannabis, LSD, Paul McCartney and John Lennon, PCP. Opiates like heroin, methadone, and even oxycodone and codeine, and even mushrooms or psilocybin. I can't even pronounce it. It's important you talk to your kids about these drugs. Most harm in Australia is cannabis, opiates, or the non-medical use of prescription drugs. And this is from the association, and this is the IACP. Cannabis, scientific marijuana, but we're focusing on this. I already told you about. We're looking at the commonly used drugs like heroin, cannabis, methamphetamines or meth, prescription opiates, tobacco and nicotine. I mean, tobacco's not a drug. It's just cigarettes. I mean, why would people call it tobacco as a drug? I mean, haven't you ever heard what those tobacco companies have been saying? Like, they put the warning on the package, and yet the kids look at it thinking, it's cool. They watched a South Park episode saying that smoking's cool, it can give you this and that, blah, blah, blah. I get it. You want to look cool smoking. You don't want to act like a failure, this and that and the other. I get that. I've been there. But doing drugs isn't what it so pumps. You're cool by what's inside your heart. Don't think for a second that I'm insulting you guys. You're the ones who decided to say, I'm doing drugs because it makes me feel good. And there's over-the-counter medicine like Skittles. They smell like PCP, saliva, But I'm not going to go explain in detail in this segment, but I do want to talk about drug testing, mainly in schools, because that's what Red River Week is all about, saying no to drugs. But basically, every state has to allow you to take a drug test. If you're going to participate in an extracurricular activity, you will sign a piece of paper saying you will submit to randomized drug testing. And once that happens, they'll make you pee in a cup. And according to the fourth, it's a safety issue. You can't be out in the field high. I mean, and in court cases, Chandler versus Miller. Supreme Court found unconstitutional that Georgia statute requiring candidates and state officers to test negative for drug, stating that the law introduced shows states committed to challenge drug abuse diminishes personal privacy. And this was also 2002. The Board of Education versus Earls. They held a constitutional and no comparing school policy amendment with drug testing students participating compared to non-athletic extracurricular activities. In the first federal court, it's the 5-4. A reasonably effective means addressing the school's district legitimate concerns. In her dissent, Justice Ginsburg wrote that the particular test program is not reasonable. It's reserve. 1989, National Treasury Employees Union versus and this goes all the way back, and even the lower court cases. I mean, mechanics. We're not talking about even students. I mean, if you're going to participate in a non-extracurricular activity or non-athletic event, you need to make sure you take the drug test. If you don't take the drug test, I think you may not be able to play or join the club. That's what I think. Let's take a break here. We have more email when we come back. We talked about how to talk to your kids teens about smoking, but it's all about this about drugs and all, but it's all about the smoking. It's really hard for these teens for them to quit smoking because of a big issue. They're addicted to it. So I'm gonna help you with that by giving you guys some alternative tips, like get their view, give your teen the facts, help them make a plan, get rid of temptation, get help from your GP, help them stay active, be their champion, and celebrate success. Never is. You can go cold turkey. And there's these programs out there. A lot of schools have these programs. Some of them don't. And what would be suggested is that we create a school-based health center here in the school, where we would have people there, people who know about smoking, talk to them about the dangers, the side effects, and then we have a program for them to quit. But at a cost. I mean, if you get caught smoking, it means it was 7 days in SD or ISS, but if you're in the paperwork, then you won't go to in-school suspension. And some of you may think this is funny, talking about smoking cool. It's not funny. It is very, very serious. I'm dead freaking serious. I take this stuff very seriously. I created a show years ago to get things off my chest and shine a bright light. I take everything very, very seriously. Drug testing. If you're going to join a club, you need to make sure that you're if you're drug testing, you need to make sure that you send that paper. And you also need to set an example, start talking, encourage your teen to share his or her concerns. Meaning explain that smoking gives you bad breath, makes your clothes and hair smell, it turns your teeth and fingers yellow, and it harms lung function and athletic performance. And specifically make a plan, knowing your reasons. Set a quit date, avoid temptation, be prepared for cravings, consider stop smoking products like the nicotine patch or nasal sprays, and also seek support. And in every school, tobacco products are prohibited because of a safety issue, because it's the law. I mean, you can't bring cigarettes to school and expect to get away by smoking. Absolutely not. The biggest mistake ever that schools make is just taking away the cigarettes. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, if That's not the biggest mistake. It's the thing that I got to agree with the school. Take the tobacco and put it in the drawer. Yet, what would they do with that drawer? I wouldn't advise putting it in the drawer unless you're going to bring it to the police for evidence. Now we're just trying to figure something out. The signs of nicotine smoking would be bad breath, yellow teeth, chronic cough, and short temper. And it's also include cough smell on clothing, coughing, throat irritation, hoarseness, bad breath, greater susceptibility to colds, stained teeth and clothing, which are also signs of chewing tobacco use. I mean, there's several different types of tobacco. There's chewing tobacco, dip. And every school policy says no one's allowed to bring tobacco products on campus anytime. That's against the rules. And I don't tolerate smoking. And if I did smoke, I would tell you how bad it felt. And we need these programs to help our teens and kids. If not, if we don't talk to our kids and teens about this issue, then they're going to go down the path of getting high, which leads me to drug selling when we come back. Let's move on to drug trafficking or selling drugs. Even if the drugs in your case were intended for personal use, the amount, weight, type, harsh consequences applied for drug trafficking in Texas. Penalties start at 6 to 12 months in jail and up to a $10,000 fine for a state jail felony. Some drug trafficking convictions require a minimum sentence of 25 years or more fines, reach up to 6 figures. The most severe penalty of the first degree felony can result in a life sentence of $250,000. So, what really means is if you're caught selling drugs, the penalty in this is just, the possession, like less than 1 gram, $10,000 fine. 1 to 4 grams, $10,000. Third degree felony, first degree felony, 200 to 400 grams, that's $10,000 in the first degree. 4 to 200 grams, that's second degree felony, maximum fine, $10,000. 1 to 4 grams, third degree, $10,000. Less than 1 gram, that's a state jail felony, which is $10,000. And if it's more than, any incarceration with 6 months to 2 years, 2 to 10 years, 2 to 20 for 4 to 200 and 1 to 4, 200 to 400, 5 to 99 years in prison, and if you have more than 100 grams, it's 10 to 99 years. So that's a total of $340,000 out the tail. Now that's the penalty of group 2, which would be for $50,000. State jail, third degree felony, all these are penalties. This is the same thing. $4,000 and 28. It's 14, 24, $74,000 total. And the fourth penalty would be $2,000 less than 20 grams. It's a class plea misdemeanor. Third degree would be 20 to 200 grams, $10,000. Same thing for the 200 to 400. Second degree, 2 to 10, 20 years. 1 to 400 grams, first degree felony is like $50,000. On the other hand, we need to make sure that we don't be selling drugs out in the street. If you see someone selling drugs on the street, you need to call someone immediately. And if it's illegal to sell fake drugs and it's illegal to sell drugs, it is illegal in any state to be selling drugs, period. I would not recommend you go out in the street and buy some drugs. Or make drugs that you want, try to sell them. You could be arrested for that. in which I have no tolerance for people trying to which brings me to this point here. During this time, selling drugs is bad. It's a bad thing to sell drugs. So bad. Drugs bad. Drugs bad. Now, as I was saying, drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. If you do them, you're bad. Drugs are bad. Doing drugs, good, that's bad. Drugs bad. That wraps up the Red Ribbon Week. Now, let's move on to our COVID cases. COVID in the news tonight. Let's look at our schools first. Alright, as of the 27th, there's one new case, new high school student, 2 of the intermediate students, 126, and 0. Okay. We were about to reach the end of the month. 28th, 29th, 0. This was all in October. And we're now at stage 2. As for the rest, state of Texas, 4.23 million, 71,000 deaths, 61,000 in Oasis County, and 1,200 in deaths. Tests, 1 million, 72 positive tests, and 6.8. 7-day average in hospitalized, 46,000. People in ICU, 14,000. Vaccination, 61.3% have had at least one dose, and 53.3% have been fully vaccinated. So, we need to make sure we keep doing this. If you're not vaccinated, I suggest you get yourself vaccinated right away, so you can help yourself and others trying to fight this thing. And now what the CDC is doing is letting kids get vaccinated, so that they too can go out and play. That could be very interesting. But until then, if you're afraid of getting that COVID vaccine, you need to ask your doctor questions, so you can understand what the side effects are. If you're going to be feeling dizzy afterwards, don't be bringing in lawsuits saying this and that and the other. I mean, these viruses help destroy all the sick cells in your body, so that we can go back out and do the things that we love to do most. It's very important for you to talk to your kids about this, and talk to your teens when they get that shot. So let's face it. We need to be better. We gotta be at 100%. And 51% of people have been fully vaccinated. This was 3 days ago. And Texas is beginning plans to bring COVID vaccines to children 12 once the FDA approves. So that won't happen until the FDA approves, so we're going to wait. So what I would do is talk to your kids before this starts. It is not too late to turn this around. We have to make sure these kids get vaccinated, period. No excuses. Now we're going to move on to this abortion law. It will be debated Monday at the Supreme Court, and that time we'll decide whether the law should be unconstitutional. I don't know anything about abortion. I'm not going to talk about abortion. Sworn in my life I've never talk about stuff like this on this show. And let me tell you something. Halloween is going to be coming up shortly in about a day. So the biggest thing ever to be concerned about is the number one priority you have to make sure to do. And this is very important. So the biggest priority is safety. That's what the priority is. And what I just saw in the news is that if you're a sex offender, you can't be putting up decorations. No decorations, porch lights are off. Because all these sex offenders are out there. We need to keep our children safe. There's also these vagrants out there that are trying to take your stuff and sell it for money. That's what they do. Keep away from them. Keep your child safe during trick-or-treating. Make sure you wear light clothing when you go out at night for trick-or-treating. Always face mask is optional, but recommended is that you do wear them. Be back in a moment. There's some good news tonight. Sugar Ray Leonard is here in Corpus, duking out in the boxing club, and Conte Riarte Channel 6 is doing the same thing. Is helping out with this. So there was some good news. And that about wraps it up for Cut Me a Break Friday going to Saturday. A big reminder, if you're going to go out for Halloween, make sure you're vaccinated. If you're going to go out for Halloween, make sure you follow the safety protocols. It's very important. See you again Saturday night. Have a good night, everyone.